Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer, the Slant 3D podcast. We're going to cover a little bit of news. We're going to cover a little bit about what we've been doing here at Slant 3D, and maybe even cover some of your comments from the last week or so. So let's dive right in. First of all, a little bit of 3D printing news for everyone. Printables and Thangs. This actually just broke today. I do not know enough about it, but Printables and Thangs are releasing a subscription within their sites so that you'll be able to subscribe to the site and get access to what is essentially premium content. This is, I'm going to do just kind of hot take on this. This is a really good idea. The fact that it has taken this long to create a subscription 3D model site that gives you ready access to files while also giving the designers kind of a form of passive income that's not just directly selling a file, but kind of sharing in the pool of subscriber revenue is a really, really good idea and a very long time coming. I'd like to know why it's being done now. It seems like everybody's like following what Musk is doing with Twitter, and it's just a very big, loud, in-your-face thing. It's very easy to do. And now every website is going to start putting subscriptions and premium content in there if they have any sort of content at all, which is flippin' obvious. But good. I'm glad it's finally being done. Should have been done, I don't know, 10 years ago on Thingiverse, but now it's being done for real. It takes a bit of Stripe code and a little bit of design in order to make it possible. And then a check mark when somebody's creating a new listing on the site. It is not a hard thing to create. So thank goodness it's finally being done. Because here's the thing, that designers, it's very clear that models on the internet kind of had like an upward trend and then they leveled out and sort of took a dip and maybe are leveling up again here now. And the reason for the takeoff was everybody was really jazzed about 3D printing. And then it leveled off when everybody realized, well, I can't make awesome 3D models all the time just for fun because people take the damn files and stick them on Etsy or whatever else it was. So the fact that, and then again, it kind of came back up again when like the formalized Patreon came around where people would give access to files in exchange for the design, like Photos Mint or any of the other ones that you guys want to point to. Thank goodness that there's now a monetizable way that's kind of consistent, kind of controlled, and tailored to designers. This is something that we tried to do with like Angled, but we believe that the value is less in the file itself and the limited group of people who want to 3D print it, and more with the printed part itself and sharing it around the world. So like when we have done Angled, it has been to allow designers' products to get to the broader world, to the people who don't have 3D printers and don't want to mess with the challenge of it, but want to partake in the product that can be created with 3D printing. So there's still a lot of room to grow because, yeah, that portion of it is still untapped. Designers do not have a place to have physical reproductions of their products put into the real world for people who are not 3D printing folks. And that's a source of income for these really good product designers. Clock Spring, Photos Mint. I'm not going to name the other ones because they sort of walk a line that we'll talk about sometime in the future. But the fact that this is available now is great. It's a place to start so that 3D modeling designers get some money within the 3D printing community, which is also a good precedent to set because, quite frankly, the 3D printer community is cheap as... And we need to get that out of here because everybody's been trending for the $100 printer and the cheapest filament. I know, I get the irony, and getting files for free. And all of that is incredibly toxic and incredibly unproductive because if people cannot make a reasonable living doing something, there is no reason to do it. And working for free does not create an incentive structure where people can do it for very long. So we lose a lot of really good talent and have lost a lot of really good talent around how to design good 3D printed products because there was no way to make a living at it unless you had a wildly successful like e-commerce store where you sold your own prints, but then you had to run a print farm and all this other stuff. It's just the 3D printing world has been so cumbersome for so long to make any money in for people wanting to get into it that it's good that there's some formalization coming around and some grown-upness, basically, of like, in order to get this really good stuff, you're gonna have to pay for it. So bringing that on to where it's acceptable to do and everybody can kind of get used to the idea is fine. Now, I know everybody's been buying files for a long time, and that's great, but the problem is that buying files is very inconsistent, and you might have a hit and then you don't, and so on and so forth. It's like the designer of the Zoo Ghost. The Zoo Ghost last fall, they created a really cool model that everybody loved and went viral on TikTok and everything else, but the only people who made money from it were the people selling prints of it, and Zoo Ghost, those designers, got a spike of demand, and then it fell off afterwards. I think their Patreon is doing fine now. I haven't checked in a long time, but generally you get a bunch of people subscribe for a month, download the file, and then they all disappear afterwards, unless you can really follow up hit after hit. So anyway, there's all that. The fact that this subscription has come around is great and is a really good thing. And I don't think I can say that enough. Good on Prusa and Printables and Things and that whole team over there for formalizing this. But there's a lot more to go. But I'm going to say happy, good job, and that's enough for today. Okay, Filament update. Okay, so a bunch of folks have received Filament. Thank you guys for the feedback that you've been sending. It has been helpful. It appears that kind of like the main issue that has come up is the vacuum sealing. It either leaked on the way or got torn up or something along those lines. We were a little bit concerned about this going out, and we've already gotten it addressed, and the feedback has reinforced that. We have a new vacuum sealing machine coming in. This number one it's just fresher and a little bit more modern, but the biggest thing about it is that it has a thicker blade on it, for lack of a better term, but the press point where the seal is actually made, it is wider, so it's able to distribute heat more evenly and create a thicker seal, so there's more redundancy in there. The current vacuum sealing method that we had a really thin seal line or melt line. So sealing them reliably seemed like it was going to be a concern, and it apparently was. Again, it's sealed in Idaho, where the humidity is lower than anywhere else, and so long as you don't break the seal on those bags, the air exchange in between will be very, very minimal. Even if there is air getting in, the osmosis of that occurring and the humidity going up inside of there would still take quite a bit of time. But so maybe when you receive them, if the seal is broken, maybe stick them in a Ziploc bag or just burn it real soon. We apologize for that, but it is PLA. It is not super sensitive to moisture. It's not like a PET-G that's going to soak it up. So that's kind of the reason that we're also starting with PET or PLAs while we work through some of these bugs. But a new vacuum sealing machine is incoming. It's incoming. I think it might have been delivered already. I haven't checked with the guys. But that will improve the seal going forward, so it'll be much tighter. Other updates within that, we're working on getting the subscription site built up. It looks like probably what we will do is we will release just a standard subscription, which is you can subscribe to 3 black spools a month. And then, or maybe 3 white spools a month or whatever it happens to be, but just like commit to a color. We're going to be very limited in colors. There's not going to be a lot of colors at the start because this is about getting it nailed down, and then we can diversify over time. But the subscription will be 3 spools. The reason for this is that 3 spools, we made a mistake and we found some new optimization inside of shipping, and 3 spools with a different shipper gives us a little bit more optimization in the cost of shipping. So that we can keep stuff where it is. We're working on getting material scaled up. It looks like that's going to take a little bit of time here because, again, we're print farm first. We manufacture and mass produce parts for clients first. And Filament here is a thing that we're working on and we want to do and push on because we're in a good spot, but it can't be the main priority because it's not going to pay the bills for everyone all the time. We're doing it to kind of push the industry forward, and it's an initiative that we've taken up. But we have to keep our core business focused and controlled there. But the Filament is making progress. We got the vacuum former. We're going to keep on doing it. It's totally fine. We're moving along. It just might go a smidgen slower than we thought with the ramp here. It looks like the next batch of Filament will probably drop, or the subscriptions will open up in about 4 weeks. That's looking like the timeline right now. That subscription will open up. It will have a limited number of subscribers because we want to make sure that anybody who is subscribed has a very definite guarantee that they will get their material. Again, as we're slopping through this, there might be errors made, or we might have some issue if the beads don't show up or material spools aren't in the right spot or whatever else it happens to be that will cause glitches along this way. If they occur, we're going to work really hard to communicate them clearly to you guys so that you know and make sure that you're like credited on the subscription or anything along those lines. We're going to try to make sure those hiccups don't occur, but when creating anything new, especially when we're threading the needle as much as we are with this filament around like cost and that kind of stuff, those things can be a factor. But we appreciate you guys' patience so far, and we're trying to fix all of the feedback that we've gotten to make sure it's as good as possible. This first batch of filament that we did, in case you missed it inside of the video or one of the past discussion videos that we did, they were actually all shipped on recycled spools. So inside of our print farm, we use 1 kilogram spools, and we've never really thrown them away because we have the room to store them right now. So what we did with this last batch is we basically respooled other spools, and then we put our sticker. We washed the spools, washed off the stickers of whatever other manufacturer had made it before, put our stickers on there. What we're going to do to improve the packaging of the spools is that what we're going to probably replace like the standard like product information on it with just the name of the product, PLA. And then a QR code to a web page that will explain how to print with PLA, tips and tricks for PLA, that kind of stuff, like an informational sheet. And then eventually like tracking and that kind of stuff of the materials themselves. But that will probably be longer term because it's a little hairy to implement. And our dev team's busy with some other stuff that we'll talk about at some point. But we'll want the website to connect to the spools, and we want that more information to be kind of dense there. Also, we want some prize to be through there. So if you scan that QR code, it'll probably lead to like a file or something like that you can print and try out, and can be a little bit of fun. So there's a reason to check on that kind of stuff. And then if we update materials or update capabilities, there's good detailed information for you to get access to. Because really long term, we would like to add tons of different materials, and we know something about the 3D printing of 3D printing materials to where we have some things on the docket that we might release publicly, or some material innovations that we have made that would require a little bit of extra information in order to utilize. But that's down the road. We got to get everything spooled up on 1 kg spools reliably. And 1 kg spools are stupid irritating because we never work with them ever. Throughout the print farm, we use large spools because, you don't want the changeover. Anyway, that's where Filament is. Yes, we're working through kind of the nitty gritty details right now, finding the right kind of bags and stickers and all the rest of that kind of thing. The spools themselves, the slant spools being made, we're doing some refinement on the design of that. We'll probably offer an update on that at some point here. Round and a hexagonal, just so everybody can whine about that in the comments. But the spools we're working to make just a smidgen more manufacturable. We think we can push them a little bit further than we have already. And then we'll break those loose for standard manufacturing. That means we might stay with like traditional plastic spools for a tad longer, but we want to get moved over to our spools just as soon as possible because it's cheaper. Anyhow, that's the main thing with Filament. Now, the next thing. An idea to run past you guys. So, all you guys know about like Angled.io. And Angled.io is our designer showcase website where we work with everybody from like Devin at Make Anything to Clockspring, the Patreon guys, and other designers who reach out to us. Please don't reach out. We're not accepting new designers right now. But over on Angled, what we've done is we work with designers in order to take their products and put them into production so that normal folks can get a hold of them. And Slant 3D designs a lot of those things. Myself, other guys on the team, people throughout the years, we've all added stuff to Angled. That's our own original work. And we want to continue doing that, but this channel has introduced kind of an interesting new format and wrinkle to the whole thing. We want to pass by you guys. Would you be interested if we did like a design series where we created a series of files and talk about the manufacturability of them, the design of them, just like we do right now with files and like features of 3D printing, but do it in a really targeted way and create a series of products that then can be released on like Kickstarter or Patreon or something along those lines so that you guys can get a hold of the STLs at the end of it all. Right now we turn loose files onto our Patreon, but the files aren't very directed because we're focusing on really kind of niche parts and features of a printed part rather than the printed part as a whole. But we think it'd be useful to cover full products. And the way we've kind of envisioned it is, what if we went through rooms of the house and created a series of products for like each room? So it's like office. Okay, well, we need a pencil cup, a desk organizer, something, something, something. And this is how you can design them in cool and interesting ways and make them manufacturable. And then be like, okay, kitchen. Well, there's this part and that thing, and maybe a baker's cube variation and so on and so forth. And all these other little widgets, and maybe an organizer for the drawer. And then go to like, okay, the wood shop. Well, here's a neat push stick and so on and so forth. And just take some of our design expertise and create batches of files that you guys can get a hold of. So we wanted to know if you guys would care about that, if you would like the video format of kind of seeing the full life cycle of that product from like conception and like whiteboarding session and ideation of it to the design of the files themselves, where we basically parse them into videos or put them all in one video. A lot of you guys have really enjoyed the real 3D printed products videos that we do, where we feature companies making cool stuff. And we think we can focus it a little bit more towards particular areas that are useful in the context of design around creating real products for these different areas. Like the needs for a part in the kitchen are very different from the needs for the part inside the shop or the bedroom or the bathroom or whatever it happens to be. But they're still all very relatable. And in the creation of real world products, these are things that are relevant. So let us know. And yeah, right now we're thinking of it as rooms. So like the room collection, the shop collection, the kitchen collection, so on and so forth. And we would create all original parts and files that you guys could print. And would be interesting and optimized for mass production so that there's a learning component to it as well. We'd publish it all, publish all the information in the design videos on the channel, but then make the files available through like Kickstarter or something along those lines. Let us know if we'd want to do it as like a Kickstarter, because that kind of justifies all the effort of focusing time of our designers and our editing, our video team and everything else to create it. So we might actually do it in like the Kickstarter format of like, if you guys are down, we'll set up a Kickstarter page and we'll lay out what the products are. And quite frankly, we could walk you guys through the process of like running a Kickstarter. Like personally, I've gone through about 20 Kickstarters in my career or so. So there's some neat insights there that you guys would be able to use if you're a product designer. And with this channel, we really want to help enable designers to create cool stuff. But at the same time, we got to make a living and we got to keep the lights on and that kind of thing. So again, let us know down in the comments if you'd be down for that. The design of parts is really what we want to get into more and more, and showing the full process and the bringing about of something. We could even target it down to like game collections and that kind of stuff and be like, here's a dice box, here's a thing, so on and so forth, which I don't think is really new. And I think a lot of people talk about their design process who are better designers, but we have a really good engineering and kind of functionalist focus on areas to where we can bring some insight around like mechanisms and product design to create some really cool and interesting stuff. So that's something we'd love to hear from you more about. Aside from that, guys, this is going to be a pretty quick one. These were the three main topics that have been given to me for this, so we'll probably just call it right there. But again, yeah, to sum up, printables, great idea. Thank goodness people are finally able to make money by making good 3D models. So this will raise the quality of models across the board, because it's just like YouTube. The fact that you're able to make money on YouTube means that people can improve their content and get better and grow bigger in a way that's never been possible before. Filament, we're working on getting the bugs ironed out. We expected a few of them here on this first batch. Hopefully we have a fresh batch and the subscription to drop here in about 4 weeks or so. And then lastly, let us know if you'd be interested in supporting a Kickstarter or supporting a video series that would create products and STL files that you can download and print yourself for around the house or around life. So shop, kitchen, game room, bedroom, bathroom, so on and so forth. Let us know. And we would go through and create like a batch of 5 or 10 models for each one of those categories. Alrighty, well, that's what we have, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Comment down below if there's other topics that you want us to comment on inside of these podcasts. And you know what? If you have a file that needs mass produced, that's the main thing that we actually do here at Slant 3D. So go ahead over to the website and let us know about that. Other than that, have a great day, everybody.